What is the scariest thing you've ever seen while driving at night? I used to deliver pizza and often had deliveries right at midnight when we closed. One time, late at night, I'm driving back to the store through a small neighborhood. Up ahead I see something. It's perfectly spherical, bright / shiny thing, just hovering about 6 feet off the ground. Not moving at all. I pull up very slowly. Still doesn't move. Still can't comprehend what I'm looking at. Just this shiny hovering orb in the road at midnight. At this point my curiosity has overridden my fear. I'm the guy in the horror movie who dies first, because I just gotta know. Either I die, or I get a cool story, right? So I hop out of the car, and slowly walk up to it. I'm right in front of it, and still can't understand what I'm seeing. So I reach out, and touch it. It's a balloon. One of those foil birthday balloons with the street lights shining on it, making it look weird out of context in the middle of the night on an empty road. A 6-foot kangaroo standing in the middle of a pitch black road at 3 AM in the morning, missed it by a bee stick. I was on I-70 in Colorado going towards Utah, pulled over at a gas station at 8 PM. Fueling up, I noticed a couple of attractive women pumping gas. On the other side of the pump was the man in his late 40s, just staring at these young women without notice of anything else going on around him. I walk inside to go grab some food for the next few hours of driving. When I come out I see both the younger women's car and the older man's truck are gone. I decided to hang out at the gas station for the next hour to catch a little sleep before hitting the road again. After driving for a few hours, I was speeding heavy. I pull over at yet another gas station. The young women are there getting gas and eating some food on a picnic table. Looked like they had been there for a while. I didn't see any sign or the man in the truck, but can't say I was looking very hard for it. Well, here is where it got creepy as hell. Can't say I didn't stare at them a bit. I mean, they were good looking women. As I'm watching them leave I see in the next parking lot over some headlights turn on, and it's the same man as before. He leaves when the women leave once again. Okay, that's a bit weird, but could just be a coincidence as there weren't many places to pull over. I leave a few minutes later and catch up to them. Now this guy's riding their ass with his high beams on. I decided to slow down and stay a distance behind the truck. 10 minutes or so later the women pull over once again to most likely get this guy off their ass. With a sign of relief the truck keeps going and I continue on my way. About 1 mile down the road the guy just pulls off to the side of the highway. So I pull off a mile or so down the road again. Sure enough the women drive by and the guy is still following them. At this point we are out in the middle of nowhere and too many coincidences have happened. I called the cops to alert them, and about 15 minutes the cops pulled the guy over. I could have just seen too many horror movies that started like this and overreacted, but you never know. Better safe than sorry. I was driving home late one night and was driving on a dark stretch of the highway. Suddenly a body was in front of me. I tried to swerve out of the way, but it was too late. My bumper was hanging on the ground. The guy died. And I went to a nearby gas station not knowing what to do. Was 18. When the tow truck pulled my car up onto it, there were a bunch of blood and guts on the bottom. I couldn't get that image out of my head. Apparently a drunk driver with 5 dwees had hit a guy on the motorcycle prior. 4 years after I had serious depression and thought about it every night before sleep. I was a very young woman driving home after clubbing, about 2 AM through Hollywood. I was pulling up to a stop sign on Cahuenga, about 3 blocks from Hollywood Boulevard, when a bunch of guys begin to casually stroll onto the crosswalk, coming from both sides. I hit the gas and ran the stop sign without even thinking. They cursed and ran after me, but those boys were ready to jack me. My instincts took over before I even realized what was happening. I dropped my GF off the night we saw the Mothman Prophecies. It wasn't a super scary movie, but it had some scares. I take the interstate home. On the way, there is a curve where there aren't any lights. Just a dark stretch of interstate. As I came around the bend, there was a guy in a black trench coat walking along the side of the road. As it was about 3 AM, I guess I started him. So, when my headlights hit him, he whipped around, and I swear he stared me right in the eyes. My heart jumped into my throat. The whole event lasted maybe 2 seconds tops, but it had my heart racing. Not paranormal, but definitely scary for me. I told this story before, but one time I was driving with my girlfriend through Wisconsin on the way back home. It was really late, like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I stopped at a gas station to fill up. My GPS ended up putting me on a small highway instead of the expressway right away after leaving there, but I didn't want to complicate things more, so I just followed it. My girlfriend was sleeping, so I had the radio off and drove in silence on this really dark, creepy highway. There were deer crossing signs, so I was driving extra cautious because a family friend had recently hit a deer in their truck, which did quite a number on it and also caused her to break her arm from the impact. I saw there was a pretty sharp curve coming up, so I slowed down to make it carefully, and as I'm turning I see a figure exiting the darkness of woods. It's a large mountain lion, with blood stained all over the front of its face. Scared the fuck out of me. I pulled up just after the turn, and tried to wake my girlfriend up. I could see its large shadow make its way across the road in my rearview mirror, but by the time my girlfriend woke up it was gone. She had lived in Wisconsin most of her life and immediately dismissed my claims that it was a mountain lion, because they are not really from that area. I told her I know what I saw, but she insisted that I was seeing things. I acted like she was probably right and continued the trip back, but I know what I saw. Not sure if this will count, but here we go. Back in my 20s I was putting myself through uni by working night shifts at a factory. Money was great, but between full-time work and full-time study I was constantly exhausted. Sleep got worse when I picked up a second job to make ends meet. Parents split up, and dad went into depression, so he wasn't working, you see. Anyway, after months I kept falling asleep at the wheel on the way home from work just before dawn around 4 AM. One time as I was driving home all alone after work, I saw half a dozen crocodiles on the road. I swerved to avoid hitting them, and almost crashed the car. I was terrified in the moment, because they came out of nowhere, and were huge, and I'd never seen crocodiles in real life before, let alone on a freeway. I pulled over the car, and looked in my rearview mirror but nothing was there. To this day I don't know if I dreamed those crocodiles, or if they were a hallucination from sleep deprivation. Scariest thing I've ever seen, and I'm so thankful no one was on the road at the time too. 3 AM on a lonely road, and I was the passenger. An old man only wearing a bra, panties and high heels was casually walking down the road. My friend who was driving didn't believe me, and went back around. Sure enough, he saw him, and we were like WTF. When I was a kid in the 1960s, we lived near Trenton. There was still downtown shopping then. My friend's mom went downtown with her 3 kids to buy clothes. On the way home, while she was stopped at a red light, a big guy stepped off the curb, walked right up to her door, and yanked it open. She didn't know if his intentions were robbery, rape, or carjacking, but she didn't stop to think about it. She punched the gas pedal and the Riviera's big V8 lit up the tires. Off they went, with the guy still hanging on the open door, cursing and screaming at her to stop. She went through 3 red lights before she slammed on the brakes. He fell to the pavement, hard, and then she gunned it again. I'm pretty sure she didn't go back to Trenton stores again.